Well, tonight is just a handful of miscellaneous updates. First, I started pinning and labeling my fuse panel. Doesn't look the greatest, but you know, Sharpie's all I got, so Sharpie's what it's getting. So like I said before, the GM, the 800 and the 400 pins are the same. These are just missing the little wings that, yeah, you can see on this blue guy here, the wings that help keep it from twisting. And then, I don't know. Here's one without wings over here. Well, that's got a grommet on it. But either way, it doesn't have a wing to slide down into this slot. I ain't worried about it. You can be if you want to, but yeah, if you look in here, you got these bus bars. So this pink here is crimped to a bus bar, and this orange here is crimped to a bus bar. So these open crimps are part of that bus bar. You can see it running across the bottom there. So all those pins opposite of, or all the open holes opposite of those bus bars are tied to that wire. So standard fashion, pink is key on, orange is battery. So I grabbed a big heavy orange wire. This was from the old glow plugs, and gave him a battery that's going to go to my Duramax harness. I just grabbed this heavy pink. It's going to be my key on power going to the Duramax harness. The blue, I went to the junkyard and all I found was on a general connector under the hood, and I think it goes down to the trailer plug, but it's not the same pin. It's a little bit different. I was hoping I could just depin it and stick it in, but instead I grabbed this guy out of the trailer harness. So I've cleaned some of the mud off of him. This is back at the hitch plug itself. I just pulled a couple feet out, snipped it. There's a lot of good wires in that thing too if you're hurting for wires. So yeah, no, I think I got all my colors. This is my my Ficum relay. This is power for that relay, the Ficum. Then blue goes to the actual wires powered by it, and I'll have another red inside of here for the other side of the open contacts on the relay. I got my start here. It matches the start of the ECM. Purple is going to be start signal coming from the truck. So this guy here is my start signal. I may end up just crimping him and sticking him in there, and that'll take care of everything on the truck side in terms of clutch or neutral safety or whatever you end up having. I get a clutch, so yeah, that, and then I'll have to take my clutch signal from over there and double pin it in so that it fires the clutch signal at the same time that it fires the start command. Then what else do we got in here? I don't know. My pins are supposed to be showing up tonight. They haven't yet. If not, I'll pick them up first thing in the morning. After having expensive stuff stolen, I don't really feel like having cheap stuff stolen. So pins will be here today. Crimper will be here Friday. And then I got a handful of other parts too. So Torque King 4x4, these people, you can see it on their label here. It's kind of fancy. They worked with me on replacing this thing after this got stolen. So this is my 1 1/4 input shaft compared to my 1 1/8. You can kind of see it in the machine step here, the difference. This is my bearing point, so this little step is about the thickness difference. I don't know, up to you if you think 1/8 of an inch difference in diameter matters. But like I said, I didn't really want to do this twice, so I just went with it. I don't know. I think it would be nice to do this once, be done. press the bearing on that and the race inside the bearing cap, and then I can finally put my transmission back together. Then I can finally put my, wherever the hell it's at, my slave cylinder back on it, and then I'll go grab my master, bleed that, put that all together, and then my clutch just made it to Tennessee today. The guys were nice enough. He's like, oh, I already have a hub for this thing, so he's gonna send me back the Dodge clutch so I can return that and get a refund on it. Those guys are awesome. Both these companies are completely worth your time and money. One being Torque King 4x4. Those people are super knowledgeable, and they have pretty cool parts. This is their Timken bearing and race for the input shaft bearing. Reasonably priced. They said, buy once, cry once, don't drag it home from the highway. The other company that's doing my clutch is Felton Clutch. They're out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Felton Clutch and Brake Services. They're going to send me a little nameplate when they get it back. So I'll send a picture of that so that you guys have a good resource down there. Yeah, he got it today, swapped hubs, and is shipping it back today. So I'm hoping it's here by the weekend. A couple other things that I've learned on the internet is this here is a coolant temp sensor, and it's a 3-wire. I think it's for LS engines or something, I don't know. So that it can run. This thing has your 2-wire for your ECM, and then the 3rd wire is the resistive for the gauge in this truck. There's a dude on Duramax diesels. His name's the Ferminator. He did I think it's a 95 Suburban swap, and that's where I got this information from. Both this thing and the next thing I'm going to talk about came from that dude. You got to give credit where credit's due. So if you're curious, look up the Ferminator on Google and you'll find the guy. Good wealth of knowledge. He does a lot of tuning programs and stuff too. So if you're looking for that sort of thing, by all means check out his posts. So this TX66 is the 3-pin sensor, and this guy here is the connector for it. It's a 3-pin connector. So like I said, bottom 2 go to your ECM, top 1 goes to the gauge wire for the truck, and right down in this valley here on the thermostat housing, that's the old plug and sensor. Kind of hard to see without light, but hang on, let me grab a light. Yeah, that's a little better. So yeah, right here there's your oil fill. Let me zoom out of here. There you go. Thermostats and coolant pipe. And right down inside of here is your engine coolant temp sensor, ECT. So this has been confirmed by that guy that this works. So same thing, I'm going to cut these wires, then I'll just solder sleeve onto here, and then with my single wire I'll solder sleeve it, route it, ship it over to there, and then have my own harness come out into this connector, and then that'll plug in to the 6.5 harness. Right here is my coolant temp sensor. So yeah, I don't know what this, all this gray wire comes back over to here. It's like, uh-oh, we got wires hanging out. But we got a lot of wires hanging out. You know what I mean. Anyhow, the last thing is alternator. So the 6.5 gets its tach signal from the alternator, and from what I read, these alternators have thingies on them. So if you read them, you have, let's see if we can read them. Oh yeah, you're gonna read them. P, L, F, and S, right? I think P, I'm gonna double check this, but pretty sure P is the one that you want for the tach signal, and then the other two, I don't know where they're at. but somewhere on the Duramax harness. The other two are used, and then the fourth one is not used. So, I'll verify that for sure before I hook it up. But same thing, this connector's coming from O'Reilly's as well. Both these parts came from O'Reilly's. If you give them the part numbers, they can get them for you. That one, I don't know what the part number is off the top of my head, but it'll be here tomorrow, and the headlight for my 01 Duramax will be here tomorrow because I decided to hit a deer with it yesterday. Yeah, so that's just a quick rundown of where I'm headed, and hopefully it turns out. I think this is going to be really awesome, being able to pin directly into my power unit and then also put a connector on it so that it's all modular like it used to be. That's going to look way nicer than splicing it. That Duramax out back still has a ton of loom on it, so if I find myself short on loom, I can always go back there and harvest. It's probably a blessing in disguise that that guy never came to buy that truck, just because now I got it for snagging things off of until I'm completely finished. So my shed's kind of a mess. There's shit everywhere. I just want to get this thing in the truck. So hopefully, if all my parts show up this weekend or midweek, I can get this assembled one last time, and next weekend I can put it in the truck, get my shed cleaned out, and then start out back with getting the intercoolers to fit. So that's going to be super sick. I can't wait to get this thing out of my way. I thought the 6.5 was in my way, but this is becoming in my way a lot. Especially when I do things like break the snowplow off. That's the old pin that I bent the shit out of. And yeah. So we had to fix that midweek because we were supposed to have a snowstorm, but instead we got a rainstorm. And now everything's kind of turned into slush and ice again, which kind of sucks. But hey, it opens up all the trash and all the stuff I haven't moved yet, and maybe gives me an opportunity to hang the rest of my insulation on the side of the house before it gets cold again. So, you know, silver linings. That's what we're after. Yeah, so that's about all I wanted to talk about tonight, was just where I'm at, where I'm headed, and hopefully I can keep... I've been pumping out videos this last week just to try to get them caught up, because I've been like, I don't know, 3 weeks behind on those, and I don't want to advertise and tell everybody all this cool stuff I'm doing until I get past the point of being caught up to where I can finally start doing final assemblies on everything. So yeah, we'll go from there. Just a couple of notes here while I got all the parts in hand. I'm going to take these in and press them tomorrow. I was going to do it here with a hammer, but press seems like a more elegant method. This is my original sleeve off my bearing retainer. He don't fit. So if I wanted to run the big shaft, I'd have had to cut this off regardless. And I guess that's why they say 96 to 07 or whatever. Because here's the newer one. Look at that. Slipped right on there. So, I guess screwing that up a couple weeks back was a blessing in disguise, because I'd have got to this point and then been kind of upset. Now that these things are out, there is a pretty decent difference there in size. I'm actually happy that I did this. Let me grab a set of calipers here, and we'll just get some numbers. Here's the shaft of the little guy. He is 1.053. So 1.053. 4 maybe. Here's the big dude. He's 1.2 1.233, somewhere in there. And then the splines. Here's your, I don't know, 1, 2, 3. And then this one is like a square on the splines. 1, 1, 2. So, yep, this is still, looks like 5895 or something. And same thing here. Pretty much the same dimension there. It's looking like he's smaller. But this one's got a greater chamfer on it. So this is probably the length difference right here. So I don't actually gain any more stick out on that thing. Oh well. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention that this doesn't fit. So if you got a 96 and newer, cake. 95, not so cake. 94 and older, you can't do because this is a different tooth count. So you're stuck with what you got on that. That probably wouldn't have ever broken, but like I said, I just want to put this thing together and rely on it. I don't want to worry about twisting a shaft off right out of the gate. So tomorrow I'll have these put together, then I can do an assembly on the tranny, assembly on the bell housing, get the clutch and the release bearing in there. My clutch will be here Monday, so I can do a final assembly on the flywheel side of things. This is the 6.5 harness. My crimpers are going to be here tomorrow, so I can crimp my pins. My pins showed up today. Let me grab them quick. I'm running out of workbench space with this 6.5 harness. Now I got input shafts and a heater and everything else. But anyhow, here's the pins. These are the names for them. If you look that up, you'll find what you need. I grabbed 12 to 10 gauge as well as 14 to 12. I thought those 14 to 16s. Oops. Oh well. We got a handful of different ones. That way I could crimp my heavy wires too. And then the crimpers I got, I made sure I could crimp down to a 12 so that I could run my big boys. And yeah, so this is what the pins look like. This is a company called Waytech. They sold me the grommets, and then here's a handful of the pins. That looks like the male pins there, and there's some female pins, and those look wrong. Bummer. So these pins don't have a catch on the back of them. These pins have a catch on the back of them, so those aren't going to work. I got a handful of pins. What are these ones? Oh, look at that! Those ones are the right ones. Well, you can't see that, but I can. Let me pull there. See the opening right there by my thumbnail? That matches. So this is the 14 to 12 gauge terminal, MetroPack 280, 1, 2, 11, 10, 845. And that means that, where the heck that other bag go? These guys, the L, 12 to 10 gauge L terminal is not what you want. But I do have other things with those. I forget what they are, but I think it was another, yeah, this generic 1-pin blue. This guy, he uses those pins. So that means that now I can crimp stuff into this style connector. So I'll harvest all of those off that other truck too. And then from this point on, I'll just grab all my wire plugs from the junkyard out of old GMs and be set. So I don't know. The last video I noticed it was getting kind of wordy, and I tried to weed a lot of the words out, but there's so many things that I felt were important that I had to express. It's hard to just not ramble, so I'll try to get better at that. Last thing on the list is this guy. This is my alternator plug, 645-906. It's a 4-wire connector, and it should plug right into my alternator. Should plug. There it goes. Look at that. So now I can get my attack signal. These are your 2 wires for the field control, and then this guy's just gonna hang out here. Maybe I'll roll them up, tuck them in, make them look nice, and they'll follow down. And excuse me. Yeah, these will get solder sleeved, and then this guy will get solder sleeved and sent out to this plug here, and be ready to rip. So moving right along. By next week, and I should be, by next Friday, I'll be putting this thing in the truck, I hope, with minimal chances of fitment issues on this thing fitting in. So this week, probably won't tape it, but I'm gonna put this guy in. I'll put him in and splice him into the harness. I'll make my harness. I think I'm gonna make this plug sit right in here somewhere, so it matches all the other ones, and then all the wires from this, maybe that's a bad idea, because this harness here, they kind of jump out by the computer, so I gotta figure out where to put the computer at. These might not get tied in until after the thing's in the truck, just so that I know where I want to put that connector at. I don't want to make everything stupid long and have this coil there, and I don't want to make them too short, so that seems like a good in the truck thing. I'll just label it all before I put it back together. So yeah, before I tie this one back up, I'm gonna crimp my pins, put them all in, label them all, and then this will get wire taped up and loomed, and then we'll be moving forward. So stay tuned. So something cool, if you're a cheap ass like me and you don't want to spend any money on this, this was 27 bucks. Look at this. This is the other half of my 6.5 injection pump harness here. This dude, if you follow it down, unreal. Exact same connector. It's missing this notch here, but look at that. She plugs right in. No problemo, senor. So that said, look at that. She's a 4-pinner and everything. I'm gonna return this connector here and get my $30 back, because I way overspent the last, I don't know how long, and I'm just gonna use that one and solder sleeve it in, because, well, what the hell's the difference, you know? Boom. You're welcome. I just saved you $30, and then this connector is the other half of this connector. So this will be my Duramax integration harness plug. Yeah, I was just looking at these to see what I could take off of them for plugs that had the same pins, and I seen that thing, so figured I'd share. Alright, I'll let you know the next new discovery. I'm gonna unpin this thing so that it's ready to go.